once I was in this. Oh, fuck it, ready.
Are we all in?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jarred. Very special
Hello.
episode. Amberless. Womp womp.
Yeah.
No titties.
Nope.
Except
no
Ryan's.
Titties. My flat ass
Sarah
titties.
as well. Sarah's our silent spectator. Sarah's titties? She's like sitting across the room, like excitedly pointing at her titty. I don't know what she wants me to say. And then she's like, no, not that, my titties. And I'm like, what do you...
For those who are going to be watching on YouTube as well, you'll be able to see just off center on Jess's camera as well. Just Sarah just going, titties. Just half of it as well.
What was I supposed to say? Oh. Sarah has left the building, you guys. Anyway. I don't know what's happening. She said, yes, my titties. No, not those.
You're gonna cut me out.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm sorry.
This is a lot.
The first time Sarah's on, she's not officially on, but her titties have still made an appearance. Like, This is just jarred all over. I'm sorry, though.
Yep.
Oh, anyway.
So what's
What's
up?
up?
Really?
Not much.
Yeah, nah. Not
You've been hanging around me too long, mate.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, nah.
Oh, no, not much, mate. Genuinely nothing exciting, really.
Why don't you take your clothes off?
Why don't I take my clothes off? Because it's not
Yeah.
It's not finished yet.
You don't finish all the time, yet you show up. I don't...
I'm gonna breeze by that.
Are you?
No, maybe for the finale, I shall take my clothes off.
Great. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, we've just lost half our listeners there as well.
Only half.
Fuck, a roast from Dougie. That's a rare one. That is a
just
rare
registered.
one. Wow. I don't know how to process roasts from Dougie. I don't know.
That's like I went to roast Dougie the other day in the group chat, but like one, he was sleeping, and two, I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah, no, it's hard to roast Dougie. We can't. Well, I can't roast anybody.
No, you can't read.
Yeah, we established that from my last one.
I was going to say, Jess generally doesn't have a problem roasting me when we're in a party chat.
No.
No. That's when it's just me and you, though. I don't want to embarrass you in front of 9 other people.
Oh. That took me a moment.
Now, Ryan, on the other hand...
Oh, anybody
I get
will
off
roast
on that public humiliation.
Anybody will roast me on air, off air, when I'm asleep, when I'm awake, when I'm not in the chat. I fucking woke up the other morning catching up with the chat. I had been roasted the fuck out of, and I was asleep. I mean, it made for
I'm
morning.
trying to remember that one. Is that the one where I had said that the last time I snorted that hard was when I did blow off your mom's ass?
I think it was, yes. Yes. That. Yes. Oh, and then also talking about, how do you say it? Daddy David.
Daddy David, perfectly
Yes.
splendid.
Fuck!
Are you okay?
Fine. just made my vein throb in the back of my fucking head.
At least it's the one in the back of your head. I just saw Charles had messaged in the Discord, our text channel. I guess where I had added Sarah so she could listen, and he's just like, "Ew, leave." I heard Sarah over beside me like silently like gasp like, and I look over and she's like, "Oh, Charles." I'm like, "What?" I heard the Discord beeping and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh fuck.
Well, I'm glad that we know who's presenting tonight because I was worried you guys hadn't settled on one.
Yeah, no, we settled last week after we finished recording, obviously, because we knew Amber wasn't going to be here. No, 2 weeks ago. We knew Amber wasn't going to be here. Because I've fucked up
no one said anything, like, in the last week or so. So I'm like, man, have they not figured this out? Well, not my problem. I'm not presenting.
Well, we agreed.
Sort it out.
We agreed because I fucked the schedule up so much already this season, and Dougie's had to take my turn. Past 2 times, I'd reciprocate by instead of Dougie doing it again for Amber, I'd do it, and then Dougie go next week, and then Amber's going to close us out. I don't think we've got an order at all this season, have we?
This season has been a shit show.
Yeah, but look how good it's been, though. It's been so good. But yeah, shit show. Jared.
I was listening. I actually didn't. I listened to our last episode like yesterday. It took me a while to get around to it, but I was like, I don't even remember half of that. I was listening back to it and I was like, wow, I don't remember saying a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah, because you were hammered.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you were.
I couldn't say familiar.
No. Just like I couldn't say inquiry. I'm still never going to attempt it, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's always plenty of words that we're going to butcher or fuck up and not be able to say. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and that were a long episode as well, hour and a half. Not fun.
There were a lot of tangents. But
yeah.
A lot of the subject matter made me think about things that I would like to discuss in future seasons.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do serial killers at one point.
I think it's definitely would be a good one for us, especially with the way we've gone so far as well.
People love true crime. People just get really big dicks over true crime. Just throbbing wet erections.
Yeah.
Sarah's in the corner like, oh my god.
Well, it's backed up by, the analytics we're looking at the other day. Season 5 has already been our most popular whole season altogether. People do love true crime, so...
Yeah, people love Jarred so much this season, so fuck off and pay us, finally, because I'm tired of working in customer service. Literally so tired of it. Actually.
Mm-hmm.
Give us your money, please. We are poor.
And then we'll refund you again next month because we'll fuck it up again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, so I tried to issue the refunds for Patreon. It had already gone out to our... I don't know if there's like a more in-depth way to like handle it, but from what I was seeing on Patreon, once it like moves over to your bank, then you don't have the option to refund it anymore. It's like when it's in your wallet in Patreon, you can still refund.
Right.
But I have ours to automatically sync to our bank account.
Yeah.
So, what I did instead is I just held off payment for the month of November, so that they're not going to get charged for November.
Cool. Yeah, I thought that would be the case.
Yeah. So you guys, you won't be getting refunds for the fuck up. You'll just get a month free.
Yeah, you just won't be charged next month. You just won't be charged for November. That's it. Sweet.
So, okay. I think that's our housekeeping.
I think so.
Okay, well, let's go.
Over to the slowest reader and the shittest reader of the group. Hi,
Great.
I'm back. So, this is going to seem a little bit shorter than the last one, because, as I mentioned in part one, I am literally just going to be going for this one on main suspects, theories, facts, and then mainly my... Yes, Jess?
I wanted to, because I forgot, I saw it earlier today. I got like an actual alert on my phone that there was a new suspect in this case. Did you happen to see that?
No. No, I haven't. I
immediately clicked on it to try to read it, but it was like, oh, you need a subscription to this. And I was like, I am not fucking doing that. So
I have new information that come out just a few weeks ago about the latest suspect, but I don't know anything about a new one.
I don't know. I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't read it. It was one of those like Apple newspaper.
Well, I was literally doing my research just a few hours ago, and nothing really comes from my search results about a brand new one. It was just new information that I had, so it might be that, I don't know. But listeners, if you do know anything that I've not mentioned, or you would like to mention something, do comment, get in touch, let us know. But no, as I was saying,
yes,
a lot of this is going to be as well my final input, because going back a few weeks ago when we were discussing on air that I was going to be doing Madeleine McCann, and Jess, you asked me what my thoughts were or who I thought did it, and I outright said the parents, and you weren't too happy with the fact that I said that with no evidence to back it up.
I just wanted you to do the research and then form an opinion, no matter what that opinion is.
Which is exactly what I'm going to be concluding today. So, on my list, I have got 4 suspects. Now, there are a lot more in the Madeleine McCann case. But these top 4 are the ones, that have previously been in my notes. The main 4 that have been within the headlines from the research that I've conducted. But as we all know, for those who have followed the case, there are more suspects involved. So, the first one on my list, it was the first suspect, not identified, but suspected within the Madeleine McCann case, who was Robert Murat, who I did touch on in part 1, but he became involvement in the investigation when he offered to translate for the police, as he spoke English and Portuguese fluently, saying he was sympathetic because he had a daughter around Madeleine's age. But suspicion turned on him when a journalist told police that Murat had been asking lots of questions about the case. Robert Hewlett claims he was... Oh, no, that's my next one. Hey, no. My notes are a bit different this week, because normally they were laid out on paper before, but my printer stopped working, so I've had to lay them out differently on my iPad, so I'm not used to it. So I just jumped the gun there. So so Robert Murat was the first suspect announced in the case on the basis that he was asking a lot of questions, which I get. I get that he's wants to do the goodness of his kindness of his heart and wants to help out and whatever. But if you suddenly start asking a lot of questions when it's not your place in an investigation, that where you're not a proper police authority, you're literally just helping out where you can. I'm on two sides of it. He's kind of shot himself in the foot there, but also, So that's why he immediately became the first suspect. And then during the Netflix documentary, which I watched a few episodes, I didn't watch all of it because I got about halfway through it and realised majority of it, what was being said, was what was in my notes from part 1. So I stopped watching it partway through and just carried on doing paper research. He did outright and say that he felt like he was being set up by the Portuguese authorities into being forced to confess. Understandably, the case was fresh, it was new, there was a lot of pressure. So there was that, but there was no hardcore concrete evidence to put Murat at the scene of the crime. So the what's the word? Don't know, but basically he was dropped as a suspect years later, and he was later paid out £600,000 in legal damages after he sued. So good on him for that much. My second suspect on my list is Robert Hewlett, who, again, I touched on briefly in part 1. He claims he was in the area when Madeleine disappeared, and he has an alibi, but didn't wish to plan on revealing it unless the McCanns paid out thousands of pounds to his account.
Okay.
Naturally,
that's right.
that's that one. Naturally, the police and the McCanns obviously denied this. They wanted nothing to do with it because, again, wasn't solid enough, wasn't concrete enough. His alibi never came forward, nothing like that. They left it be, and he died in 2014. But the reason that took everything by storm was because he's a known paedophile, and he claimed to be in that area. So that one took it off as well. And not that, again, pressure. People wanted to try and nail down a suspect at this point. The third one's on my list is Kate and Jerry McCann, her parents.
Wow, they're all the way at number 3?
On my list. On my list. This is in no particular order. This is in no particular order. This was just me writing down my notes. The McCanns were suspected, I think, 4 months after her disappearance, for many reasons which I will now dig into. So, Portuguese police made Kate and Jerry McCann formal suspects 4 months after her disappearance. Officers claimed to have found DNA evidence, and that caused grounds for suspicion. The decision came after police sniffer dogs trained to detect human blood barked inside the family's holiday apartment. According to officers, the animals were taken to several locations but only reacted inside the McCann's rental home. Later, the cadaver dogs reacted again whilst inside Kate and Jerry's hire car, which they rented 24 days after Madeleine's disappearance. The UK's Forensic Science Service, the FSS, tested hair and fibre samples found in the apartment and the car. After sending off the samples for testing, Madeleine's parents were named as suspects. I've got a lot of counter arguments to this, which is what starts to sway my final opinion. The cadaver dogs are obviously going to find DNA in the apartment because that's where they were staying.
Right.
So that to me seems pretty self-explanatory. The car, however, this ticks me off. Because obviously for those who know the Madeleine McCann case, obviously it come out obviously when DNA was found in the car. Obviously they were suspected of putting him in the boot, or sorry, trunk, and burying her off elsewhere. But my counter argument to that, we all molt a lot. Hair gets everywhere. If there was hair in the apartment or got onto Kate or Jerry's clothing or the children's clothing and then went into the car, the hair probably falls off in there and it's going to be there and found that way. That's my counter argument to it.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
What was it that was alerted to in the car?
Hair fibers.
Scent dogs alerted to hair fibers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it counts as DNA of sorts.
But scent dogs are not really DNA detection per se. Scent dogs are like, you give them something that smells like that person and they seek that person's scent out. It's not like...
No,
it's not really their DNA. But I know that one of the things that hung me up on this case at first was that the dogs alerted to that cupboard in the apartment, and those were cadaver dogs. Those were human remains detection. They seek out human decomposition odor.
Damn.
So that was like, I still don't think I don't think the parents did it, but that was one of the things that stopped me. It had me like weighing out both sides of it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's
because it wasn't like Yeah, it wasn't like the dogs just alerted to something of Madeleine's in the apartment. They alerted to death in the apartment,
Right.
not just her items. That's why I was asking what was in the car, because I didn't know if it was like a situation where it was they'd let the dog smell her toy or a piece of her clothing or something, or if it was a human remains detection
All I know is
dog.
all I've got here was that the cadaver dogs were in the car as well, and they barked to alert, obviously.
So then they detected human decomposition in the car.
In the car. So then we move on to the theory about McCann's parents, rather. Oh, wait. So Portuguese police reportedly suspected that Kate and Jerry McCann accidentally killed their daughter. It was suggested that they had given the 3-year-old a sedative so that she would sleep whilst they dined with their friends at the tapas bar 50 yards away. When they returned back to their holiday rental, it was alleged that they hid the body in said cupboard and faked Madeleine's abduction. They were accused of hiding her body in the boot of their rented car and then buried her weeks after the investigation started. Cops allegedly believed that this explained the sniffer's dog's reactions whilst inside the car. Crime expert Moita Flores, I've probably butchered that. Either way,
Probably.
most likely knowing me, who previously worked on the Portuguese investigation, claimed that Madeleine died in the apartment. He told Portuguese website Flash, quote, "Maddie died in that apartment, I have no doubt. It would have been impossible to get through that window with a child," end quote. And his comments echoed claims previously made by retired Portuguese police chief Goncalo Amaral. And this is why I'm still... Unfortunately, I'm still 50-50 on Kate and Jerry McCann being suspects. There's counter-arguments to all parts of this theory, all the way through. How could they have hid Madeleine's body
Right.
24 days or
That's what
more?
I'm so glad you said, because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, was it 3? I think it was 3 weeks.
24 days,
between-
3 weeks, just short of a month.
How with
How
all
could
the
they-
police presence and
Swarming the place.
how?
Portuguese police and UK authorities just swarming the place. You know, you've got cadaver dogs all over the place as well. And she wasn't found anywhere.
If they had her in the cupboard that whole time, I mean, come on.
Yeah, the car wasn't rented till 24 days after, so where was she in the meantime if that was the case? But the one thing that still hangs me up, and I still got a counter-argument to this as well, all of their interviews, all of their TV appearances, there is just something about them that gives me the creeps. And it just
You can't convict someone on behavior, though.
No, you can't, because, I mean, I don't know what it's like to lose a child. I don't. You know.
They always say, like, you cannot gauge grief. Like, you can't expect one person to react the same as the next. So I don't...
Well, you know, everybody grieves differently. You know, Kate was very quiet through a lot of her interviews and TV appearances, whereas Jerry rambled a lot, almost. And I say rambled because it appears to be rambling. And that's the hung up I get. Naturally, obviously, when anybody's awkward in any scenario, they talk too much and then start to overshare almost if they're not careful. But that's just in a general conversation. I don't know. It's a trick.
You have to think about it, though, because
loud.
it's like, just for a second, just put yourself in his shoes, and you know, in situations, well, it seems like a lot of situations like this, at least in the court of public opinion, everyone thinks that the parents had a hand in it. So if he's going in front of cameras and appealing to the public for assistance and helping find his child or find his child's killer, or I mean, we don't even know that she's dead, but but if you were in his position and you had to make these statements in front of dozens and dozens of cameras and you knew that everyone in that room
Everyone was
probably
looking
suspected
at
you
you,
anyway, you would be anxious as fuck,
You
regardless
would.
of whether you'd done anything or not.
And that was my counter argument. So thank you. Yeah. So yeah. So that's the theory in the case about the parents. Now the latest one is Christian Bruckner? Yeah, Bruckner. Christian Bruckner. Now, I'm just going to go back to notes from my part 1 just to remind people. But if people are listening to part 2 rather than part 1 first, I don't know why you're doing that, to go back to part 1. But Christian Bruckner allegedly confessed to his part in the Madeleine disappearance to a man in a bar in Germany when a news report about Madeleine's disappearance came on the TV. Christian Bruckner allegedly said something to suggest he was responsible for her going missing. Later, he showed his companion in the bar a video of him raping an elderly woman who was an American tourist in Portugal of 2005. I don't know why it looks
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That prompted the informant to call the German police to alert them to the suspect around the time of the 10th anniversary of Madeleine's disappearance. He was already in jail in Germany and being investigated for alleged child sex abuse crimes. Christian Bruckner was convicted in 2019 of the rape in the Algarve area and jailed for 7 years. German police say that the suspect has previous convictions for child sex abuse. And then June 10th, I can't remember what year this was, but I'm just going off the notes from my last one. He was moved in the prison that he was at in... Oh, God. I got the German right last time. I'm probably going to butcher it again this time. But Schleswig-Holstein, I think. Anyway, he was moved into a...
Sarah gave thumbs up.
Sweet, I got it right. Thank you, Sarah. He was moved into a single cell for his own protection, which is pretty common with rapists in prisons. Because you can be the biggest mass murderer, decapitating 20 people and laughing whilst you're doing it, but they won't stand a rapist.
Yep.
Child one at that.
Right on.
So yeah, so he become a main suspect after it was reported that he was living in his camper van near the area where Madeleine was staying with the McCanns in Portugal the year she was missing in 2007. Police first became aware of him as a suspect in 2017, but did not publicly name him until the last June. Now, the most recent thing which come up whilst doing my research was reported on October the 9th of this year, 2021. And they've come out from German prosecutors. So all the information I've got here is literally latest thing, and I'm talking 3 weeks ago from the date of this. German prosecutors investigating the Madeleine McCann case have said they are certain suspect Christian Bruckner has murdered her. German prosecutor Hans Christian Walter said investigators have enough evidence to bring a charge against the suspect, but want to, quote, strengthen their position first. He told the Mirror, Daily Mirror team, he was, quote, 100% convinced, end quote, that the British girl was killed by Bruckner, who is a convicted paedophile. Mr. Walter, who is leading the investigation, said, quote, it is now possible that we could charge. We have that evidence now. But it's not just about charging him. We want to charge him with the best body of evidence possible. When we still have questions, it would be nonsense to charge rather than wait to have the answers that could strengthen our position, end quote. Mr. Walters said they hope to bring charges next year, so which would be 2022. Adding that there was less pressure on them as Bruckner is already in prison. The 43-year-old, who was extradited from Italy to Germany in 2018 on an arrest warrant for drug trafficking, is currently serving a 21-month sentence in Germany. The prosecutors last year sent a letter to the McCanns, Kate and Jerry McCann, saying they had proof that Madeleine was dead. A claim they later disputed by Metropolitan Police, saying it was not concrete enough. Now, I don't know what counts as concrete with Australia and America, but concrete evidence for UK police has to be CCTV, a photograph, hardcore DNA, or a body. That is our investigators, that is our law side of concrete evidence. Germany, however, with this report, they're saying it's concrete, but it's not. That's why it was disputed by Metropolitan Police.
In what way is it concrete? I mean, what's the basis? How are they? How do they derive that?
They claim the evidence they have, which they haven't released. They claim that it is concrete enough for them, but they haven't released it yet, which I'm about to get onto.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Mr. Walters, the lead investigator, has now said they cannot prove she is dead. This is after Metropolitan disproved it. Has said they now cannot prove that she is dead and have no DNA or photo evidence linking Bruckner to her alleged murder, which is why we want to know what it is, what actual evidence they do have. But addressing the McCanns, he said, quote, "We are confident we have the man who took and killed your daughter. All I can do is ask for your patience. I personally think a conclusion will be reached next year. We have no body and no DNA, but we have other evidence. Based on the evidence we have, it leads to no other conclusion. I can't tell you on which basis we assume she is dead, but for us, there is no other possibility. There is no hope she is alive." End quote. This is the lead German prosecutor who came out 3 weeks ago and said all of this publicly. Everybody at the moment is in a lot of controversy because, and they're all pretty much saying the same thing, this guy, Hans Christian Walter, is focusing too much on publicity than focusing on actual evidence that he's actually got, because he's saying one thing. No, Siri, I did not say you. He's focusing on one thing. The Metropolitan Police are then disproving it, and then he's having to backtrack himself because obviously he knows that he can't withstand a team against them because the Metropolitans still have funding for this case. Oh. And Mike Neville, he was actually recently on an Australian interview, actually, TV interview that I saw just a couple of days ago as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get his position, but he is in the police force somewhere. He believes that Madeleine is alive and will be found by photo recognition through social media, on the very distinctive fact that she has that line in her eye. He believes that she will be found in a photograph in the background on social media platforms. I love his enthusiasm.
Don't you think, though, that, Madeleine, she'd be a teenager by now, right? Like, when did this happen? 2007? And she was
14 years ago, she was 4.
So, yeah, she would be a teenager. So, surely if she were a
17,
teenager, 18. She'd be on social media. So, it's
she'd be on social media already.
If you're on social media, there's a good chance you're probably familiar with this case, I would think. I don't think it's one of those that's like in a bubble.
No.
And you're around that age, I mean, and you're familiar with the way your face looks, wouldn't you kind of, be like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Is this me? Like, don't you think that if,
Yep.
she were out there, she probably would have already figured it out by now?
Yeah, she would have already figured it out. She would have already been found. But he believes himself, his words were that he believes she'll be found through the background of a photo. And he even said, quotes, when you take a photo at a restaurant when you're with your family, Facebook recognizes faces in the background of the photos. And he believes that's how she's going to be found. Like, she'll be found that way through. What are you going to do? Search every single photo that goes on the internet? Good luck.
it's really it's a 50-50.
It is.
I don't think she's alive anymore. I just don't. I think that she was taken for whatever she was taken for, and whenever she was no longer needed, she was disposed of.
My final theory with all of this, because that is all of my notes. My final conclusion on this is, I don't want to say she's alive, but I also don't want to say she's dead. Because it is such a strong 50-50 between the two. If she was kidnapped by Bruckner, the latest suspect, and sold in a trafficking ring or whatever, she could have gone anywhere, she can be anywhere, or she could be buried anywhere, for all we know. Or she could still be alive and she's still in that ring. Because it's such a tough one, because this case, it's not, unless you live under a rock or you're not from this generation and don't know about it. If she had escaped or whatever, people would have found her. She would have come forward. There's something would have come out from it by now, I believe.
Well, if she were out there, wouldn't there be more... I feel like there'd be more viable sightings. I mean, I know over the years, people have come forward, oh, I saw her here, I saw her here, or I know it. And it's like, nothing has ever...
Literally, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I finished part 1, I left one final note on my back slip. I just need to find the year it was from. Hang on. 2020 was the last sighting. It was on July 25th. A retired teacher told Portuguese police that she believed she saw Madeleine McCann in a supermarket on the Algarve coast in 2017. Took her 3 years to report this. The woman says she believed it was Madeleine, who would have been 17 now, because of the distinctive blemish in her right eye. That was the last sighting, but why did it take her 3 years to come forward?
I was gonna say, if it were literally anywhere else in the world, I would be like, okay, I mean, I get that there are people who haven't heard about this case.
Yeah.
But if you literally live in or around Praia de Luz and you think that you saw Madeleine McCann, would you not?
You would come forward immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So it took her
Instead
3
of
years
3
to say.
years later?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 3 years ago, I think I saw her in that same area. So there have been a lot of sightings or reports, thousands for that matter. And
I just feel like one of those would have been viable by now.
Yeah.
If she were still out there.
If she was still out there. My final conclusion as to the Whodunit. I genuinely have no conclusion, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I am off the parents' backs now.
Well, the Portuguese police, they wanted a suspect in the beat. They didn't want to tell the public, we don't have anyone in mind.
You had the whole world's pressure on this case.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you say you don't have a suspect, then it looks like you've bungled the case.
Yeah, or you've not bothered, or you just, you flumped it.
I mean, there's a lot of shady stuff with the parents, but like I said early on, I think that their biggest problem was that they were kind of wealthfully ignorant.
Yeah, I mean...
They didn't think that would ever happen to them.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of whether Kate and Jerry are innocent, they're still guilty on the fact of child neglect.
Yep.
That will forever stand, because it's a true fact. They left all 3 of their children in an apartment on a street, literally on the road, because it was right there, their apartment, and there was no straight access from where they were. You had to go onto the street and then back up a set of stairs to then get through. It wasn't like, it's just awful.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say, like, yes, they were neglectful. A moment of leniency resulted in a tragedy, absolutely, but I do think it was one of those situations where I don't feel like the neglect was as terrible as people say. I mean, because when you look at where they were with that restaurant, they could literally see their room.
They
I could
could.
see how they would become complacent and
Yeah,
comfortable.
Yeah, and they did
with
have
that routine because they could see.
Yeah.
They could see their apartment.
And
so
they
it's
had-
like you don't think anything's gonna happen when you're fucking looking
When
at
you
it
can see
across
it.
the pool.
And they had their strict schedule that they stuck by with going to check up on the children because it wasn't just.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, it wasn't just Kate and Jerry. The Tapas 7 or 6 was it called? I don't know what they're called, but the friends that they were with as well. They had their children in the rooms next
It was a
door.
system.
Yeah, they went to go look as well. They would check up on them. So they went the latest time span was half an hour. The shortest was 15 minutes. It was that regular.
It was like having freedom without having freedom, kind of.
Yeah. One of them would have to sacrifice a 5-minute, detour. That's it. So, yeah, child neglect, but also at the same time they had, the balance to go with it. I would like to think it's Bruckner as well because so much has come out about him. He fits the bill. He's got previous convictions of burglary, rape, child sex abuse, drug trafficking. He's not even a man. He's just a waste of being. But there is still.
We need to hear what the evidence is.
We need more.
Yeah,
we need to hear what it
absolutely.
is, and it needs to be stronger. It needs to be concrete. It can't just be hearsay from the prosecutors. It needs to be outright said. But as they've said, they're hoping to have.
And
him
I mean,
charged by
unless
next
he
year.
has, I hate to say it, and I hate to sound like macabre or like whatever, but unless he has like pictures of her,
Yeah,
I don't know that I'll believe it.
yeah. I mean, he. Brooke,
That's concrete evidence.
they did
You
also.
show us pictures of Madeleine McCann no one's seen before that you've clearly taken.
Then we'll buy
Okay,
it.
you did it.
We'll have it. He done it. I mean, they even come out and said, I forgot to mention this, they even came out and said that his mobile phone records show him to be in the area. Again, that was quickly disproven because it's well known that you need 3 mobile phone masts to triangulate a phone signal. To this day, that area of Portugal does not have 3 mobile phone masts. So they still can't even track it. This is what's annoying me even more about the German prosecutors because they're just flumping it almost at this stage, trying to get more publicity on it. Which, I don't want to sound out of place here, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but does this really need any more publicity? That was a rhetorical. I wasn't actually expecting an answer. It's so well known as it is. They just need to fucking get a knuckle down with it and get it closed off, if they ever will.
Unfortunately, unless they have like really damning evidence, I don't know that we will ever know what happened to that little girl.
No.
I know it's a 50-50. I don't feel like she's around anymore. I just don't. I think if she was, then we would have known by now.
I would like to believe she is still alive, but it's been that long, and there's so much going on to it, and the way the technology has gone now, I believe she would have been found, or she would have come out of the woodwork somehow.
Someone would have
especially
seen
if it was
something.
Bruckner.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it was Bruckner, the fact that how long's he been in jail now? So, did he leave her with someone if she was still alive?
Exactly. Exactly.
So.
And as far as we're aware, he only ever worked alone. There was that one accomplice that he had in the bar, but that was actually an informant who got to know him. To gain his trust, and he admitted everything to him, to what we know anyway, to the extent to be the truth, which is what's been used against him already. So, we may never know, but it's nice for once that after all these years, I mean, I was 11 when this case first, when Madeleine went missing, so I never paid attention. I was 11, I didn't watch the news, I didn't pay attention. But it's nice now.
That's how I was with Casey Anthony. I think I was like 17. I had better things to do than fucking follow true crime.
Yeah. But now it's nice to know that I can now actually have a proper thought structure to this and not going off other people's facts and opinions and going, oh yeah, no, it's the parents and whatever. I can now actually go, well, hang on a minute. Look at this, and it's yeah. But no, that's
no, and I think that's an important, not just when it comes to crime or anything, like just in general in life. Like it may seem like the popular thing to do to agree with whatever everyone else thinks, but do your own research.
Thank you for saying that.
And I know if Amber were here, she would make it like this whole big thing. Like she would totally make it this whole big thing. Do your own research, but yes, do your own research. I was going to
do my own thing, like literally, because especially with this one. 4 or 5 weeks ago, I knew jack shit about the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. I threw myself into it. I've got pages and pages up on here. I've got scrolls on there. I've got tabs open for fucking galore on my tablet. And I still feel like there's more to dive into. There is a lot more to dive into that I haven't touched, like the other suspects.
You were just flowing with general consensus. I mean...
Yeah.
I think that's human nature, but, like, do your own research.
Yeah. Don't just follow the herd. Break off from it. Do your own thing. So, yeah. That's me wrapped up.
Very interesting.
Nice work, Matt.
Thank you.
Good work.
Jess just praised my work.
Dougie, did you learn anything new? Or was it all new, or?
Some of it was new. I mean, yeah, I do remember it when it happened and everything like that.
I meant to ask you, and I forgot. Have you heard about that little girl that went missing in WA recently? There's like a $1 million reward for her.
Wow.
Little 4-year-old?
I haven't looked that closely at. One of my friends in Discord sent the link. It was a little girl that went missing on the coast somewhere in WA, and there's like $1 million reward for her at this point.
I've heard, sort of briefly heard reports on the radio when I'm at work, but I don't, because it's a noisy workshop, I don't hear it all completely.
Do you
I think there was she was 4 years old, and not 100% sure, because there's actually been a couple. A little boy went missing as well recently. I can't remember. I think one was at the coast and one was at a river or something like that. I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that. But, yeah. Pretty sure the little girl was only 4, and yeah, she just wandered off. I can't remember. Like I said, I'm only hearing bits and pieces when I'm at work, coming through on the radio. When I can hear the radio.
Has it become publicized enough yet that people kind of have their opinions about what happened? Like, people have a tendency, like, they're leaning a certain way about what happened. Like, do they think, like, the parents did something, or, like, an outside, a stranger? You don't know.
I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't watch TV, so I don't see the news or anything like that. So, yeah, like I said, I've only heard bits and pieces on the radio when news comes on.
Yeah.
And then I can only get bits and pieces, so. Yeah. It's... I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember what... I did hear something about... they said they thought she was doing, like she was going to wash her hands or something like that. I don't know.
This is the scary thing with things like this, because especially with kids, you take your eyes off them for less than a minute.
You take your eyes off them for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like...
And they're gone.
Gone.
Firstly, children have no concept of life, fear, reality. They just don't. So if they go off impulse reactions, if they see something they like, they're going to go to it. But also,
I do remember. Sorry, I do remember her mum saying that it's not like her to wander off.
And that was going to be my next thing as well. So, a lot of them don't like to wander too far from their parents, and there are some sick fucks out there.
Yeah.
No.
Quick look.
Well, that leaves Dougie and Amber.
Dougie and Amber, yeah. So we've got Dougie with his third and final Unsolved Mystery next week. And then...
Dougie, do you know what you're doing yet?
Yeah.
Oh,
I knew what I was doing a few weeks ago. It's going to be, it's a lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, we were talking just before we started this one, didn't we? And you said that it was going to take you longer. And you thought...
Did you tell me what you're doing? I don't remember.
He hasn't told any of us.
Oh.
I told you, Ryan.
Did you?
Wow, you told Ryan and not me?
You told me what, the act?
I'm sure I told everyone. It was one of your friends suggested.
Oh, okay, you are doing
you
that
are
one.
doing
Okay,
that.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gotcha.
And it was a lot. I was going to do that last time.
Yeah.
But after starting to read into it, it's like, okay, this is a lot bigger than I expected. So I switched and did the one I was going to do last.
Right. Oh, brilliant.
First. And so, yeah, that one I want to try and do right.
Yeah.
And
it's not the same one I said, is it?
Hey?
It wasn't the same one. It wasn't the same one that I suggested, was it? With the guy that washed up on shore that was dead?
No.
No.
I can't remember what that one's called. Fuck.
But yeah, that's why we agreed as well that I would do this week, because you wanted that extra week of research and prep. And then, Amber's going to be closing out with, correct me if I'm wrong, but John Bonet Part 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so, yeah.
Okay. So just with what Jess asked about that little girl, 4-year-old Cleo Smith went missing from the family's tent at a campsite north of Carnarvon, which is near the Blowholes, which is a popular tourist attraction.
Yikes.
Is it possible? I mean, I don't know what. I mean, I have a good imagination of what that area out there is like in WA, but is it possible that something snatched her, like not human? Like an animal. Dingo ate my baby.
I shouldn't laugh.
No. I can't say what particular animals are around that area. There's all sorts, but I don't think they're looking at that. But apparently, I just did a quick read. Where was that? It was reported that there was her sleeping bag was missing as well.
Oh.
Oh, poor baby.
But they still don't know where she is. And yeah, the environment is fairly harsh and the weather was conducive to surviving the elements. So the weather wasn't too bad, but you're talking about a little 4-year-old girl.
Little 4-year-old, yeah.
And it's been a few days now. She was last seen at 1:30 a.m. in the morning.
Jeez.
And the family realised she was missing at 6 a.m.
Jesus.
So
bloody hell.
There's a 4.5-hour window.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy things happen. There was a little boy a couple weeks ago. I don't remember if he was Texas, Florida. I don't remember. He was gone for, I think it was several days, but he was actually found and he was okay. So, I mean, maybe she'll, I don't know. It's statistically speaking, she's probably not, but maybe.
There was another one recently, young boy. I can't remember what age. It was under 10 anyway. And I can't remember where they were, but he'd got lost in the bush. And during the search, the helicopter found him. He was actually at a little water hole getting a drink. He managed to find, and so he'd been in the bush for quite a few days, but he was smart enough that he managed to find water and just to keep himself alive, sort of thing.
Good.
Well, I don't know what kind of turnaround time we're thinking between 5 and 6. I kind of think like we're on a roll right now. We're killing it. I think this season's gonna wrap up November?
Yeah.
Early November?
Yeah, first, second week of November, yeah.
I'm thinking January, like beginning of January, to pick back up.
It's normally how we do it. We leave Christmas out as hiatus because we're all very busy, and then we start it up again in the new year.
Well, I'm just saying because there was a I think probably our longest hiatus so far between 4 and 5
during summer. Yeah, there was.
I think that was our longest so far.
It was.
I know that I've been mentioning it on previous episodes, but just to update our listeners who have been keeping track of it, Brian Laundrie was found dead. Just a skull, people. But the reason I mentioned the turnaround time was because that is one that I would love to talk about that story on our podcast eventually. I don't want to do it now while it's such a hot talk, because I don't want it to seem like we're trying to capitalize off that story. But I have so much information from that case, both public and not public, that I need somewhere to put it down, to record it, so I don't forget anything of it or anything about it, because it's all in my head and I've got to put it somewhere.
Yep.
And it just needs to go into something. And if we do anything related to that topic next season, I'm gonna put it out there, like everything that. Because I went down the rabbit hole with that one, you guys.
We know.
I was lost for a long time.
You Alice in Wonderland that shit. Like you were.
That's the first time that I've ever followed a case that closely and deeply, and so I want to I not memorialize it, but I want it on permanent record so that I can go back and listen to it someday, and because I'll forget all of this.
You want to build
eventually.
your own case file.
Right. Yeah. Like, I know that I'll forget all this stuff if it's not put down somewhere.
Yep.
In record.
Yep.
So, and I don't want to have learned all of it for nothing.
Well, maybe with season 6, we do a poll and whether we do true crime or serial killers. I mean, they kind of fall under the same category almost, but serial killers was just because with Unsolved Mysteries, we've been able to do quite a mix, to be fair.
Yeah.
Whereas next time
I feel like true crime would give us the wiggle room that it's like we don't even have to do murder.
No, we can literally.
It doesn't even have to be murder. It could be a serial butt grabber or serial burglar.
Butt grabber, that's Jess all over.
Wouldn't even be murder. But true crime gives us that kind of umbrella. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, I do like the more specific ones because it's kind of more of a challenge. Yeah. I mean, we'll figure it out.
We shall see.
I just wanted to. Say that.
If we did like true crime, we could deliberately leave out the serial killer ones to do
do them again
as a separate.
Yeah.
Yes. That's actually good.
Because
that's a good idea.
Just because there's so many of both, so many different options.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, as we're talking,
Not like there's only 1 or 2 serial killers in the world.
no, I mean, as we're talking about there, I'm thinking of UK serial killers or local true crimes like to my area. And I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. Yeah, my brain's working away.
I've already seen quite a few for Australia as well, on the serial killer side and other things. So
the bad thing is with America, if it's a serial killer, they're probably extremely high profile. Like, it seems like most of the serial killers that we have end up with their own Netflix documentary.
Yep.
And I know that we like to do we try to do more obscure topics or things that haven't been covered that much or frequently. So I think, that'll definitely be a challenge to do a serial killer that
hasn't been heard of.
Not so mainstream.
Yeah.
But then again, we all also have the advantage of you guys maybe haven't necessarily heard a lot of our stuff, and I haven't heard a lot of your stuff. So, or if you have, you're not as familiar. You'll know it by name, but not the story. Well, you didn't even know who Casey Anthony was, so.
Amber had to jog our memory on John Benet Ramsey. So, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I have company.
Yes, you do.
I don't know where she went.
Sarah took her titties and left.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna go entertain my company. You guys can find us on Instagram at jarredpodcast, Twitter, jarredofficial. Like Amber says, just Google Jarred Podcast, and it's like everything is there.
We're there now, our profile's there. Everything's on our website.
We have enough accounts that we take up the full first page of Google. So please buy our merch. Spend
that helps.
some money.
Support us.
Yes.
We're very poor. We're very, very poor.
Yeah.
So
give us money. I'm gonna fucking walk around with a begging
Sarah
cup.
just messaged in the Discord and was like, "OMG, I'm company," with the crying happy, the fake happy face, with a little teardrop.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's the Erica face.
Oh God. Oh! Good night, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Yes. Bye.